Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Abby. Today, this is coming a little late, I know, but I wanted to tell you my 5-star reads from 2021. There's a good chunk. I have a list compiled from my Goodreads account. You can see them all right here. I'm just gonna be kind of talking you through what my top books were for this year, or this last year. So in case you're trying to read or get into reading, these are, I think, the books that will be best to start to get into because they can easily hook you. So that's what today's video is. I just have a pile in front of me. These are in no particular order at all. These are just, I gave them 5 stars when I read them and we're revisiting them now together. So first we have the Six of Crows Duology. This is a box set. They made this into a TV show in combination with Shadow and Bone. It's called Shadow and Bone on Netflix. That is very good. I read these and Shadow and Bone this year. I personally liked the duology for Six of Crows better than Shadow and Bone. Although Shadow and Bone is on my 5-star books, but only the first one. Whereas for Six of Crows, both Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom are 5 stars for me. So this is only 2 books. It's easier to get into. You can totally read these by themselves, but if you really like the world that it's set in, the Grishaverse, then I would recommend Shadow and Bone because it's set in the same world, like with the same powers and everything, even though it's totally different characters. So I recommend this one, and I really liked Shadow and Bone. I also gave it 5 stars. I don't have it here with me. It's actually at home in Texas, but those are 5 stars from me. Next we have It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, which if you watched my December book recap video, I talked about this one. So I don't want to talk about it too much because I just talked about it and I feel like I've talked about it in several other videos. So 5 stars. This is very good. And it was different than I thought it was going to be. So it's an easy, one book, no series. So if you're looking to get into reading, this is a good one for that. Next, we have a nonfiction, which I think this is the only nonfiction book that I rated 5 stars, and that is The Defining Decade by Meg J, PhD. I had to read this for a class actually, but I do still count it as one of the books I read this year, and I did give it 5 stars. If you're graduating college, if you're in your 20s, I highly recommend this. It's about why your 20s matter and how to make the most of them. So I 100% recommend this, 5 stars. Next is a book I also read in December that I talked about in December, The Daughter of the Pirate King. It's, again, a really easy, just one book. There is a second one and I haven't read it yet, so I'll keep you updated on what I think about the second book in the series, but the first one is 5 stars. I read it in a day, very quick and easy, loved it, 5 stars. I've said 5 stars maybe 50 times already in this video, I'm so sorry. Next, we have what I think was a lot of people's, in their top books this year, for good reason, The Love Hypothesis. This book shook me to my core. Within the first 5 pages I was hooked, which doesn't happen that often. Sometimes it takes me a chapter and then I'm okay, I'm invested. This 5 pages, I was there for it, invested, ready to go, needed to find out what's happening. I think a lot of people really loved this book and enjoyed it this year, so if you're looking for a good romance, I highly recommend this. Another book that I read in December, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Not going to talk about it too much. It was 5 stars. It did take me a little bit longer to get into this one, but I read what did I read? Daisy Jones and the Six, which is also by Taylor Jenkins Reid. She's an incredible author. She always writes in very different styles, so that can be a little bit hard to get used to, but I recommend this book. And next we have The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This one is just a great, like, enemies to lovers in the workplace, kind of similar to The Hating Game or 10 Rules for Faking It, which I really enjoyed, and they're in my, I gave them 4 stars. But this one, it was one of the first ones that I read, and so I gave it 5 stars, and then after that, I gave them 4 stars, because that's what you get for being the first one that I read. You get 5 stars. But there's several other books that I could recommend that are similar to this. If you like this one, I would recommend a lot of other books, but this one is 5 stars for me. This one I read over the summer. Again, read it in one day. Most of the books, if they're 5 stars, I read them in one day, like, because I just could not put it down. That's how you know it's a good book. I'm either crying, I read it in one sitting, or I'm reading in the car, which I never do because I get car sick really easily. But if it's some combination of those, it's 5 stars, and that is this book, Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I could be completely wrong. But this is more YA than some of the other romance books. So if you're younger and you don't want as much spice, I highly recommend this one. It's just it's very sweet and like wholesome. I want to be friends with the main characters. It's childhood friends to lovers. Well, they're not really friends. It's like childhood friends / enemies. They're neighbors. It's just really cute. And 5 stars. Next, we have Serpent and Dove. This is similar to like Shadow and Bone, like a fantasy world where people have powers. This is about witches. A witch hunter falls in love with a witch. They get married. It's this whole thing. This is a series. I have not read the second one in the series. I did start it, but I haven't finished it. So take that for what it is. But this one is 5 stars. I read it so quickly. Very good. Next, we have another kind of YA book, which is Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson. I highly recommend Morgan Matson if you're a little bit younger, because she writes really good, like, clean stuff. And obviously this one was 5 stars for me. So if you're looking for, this is more about friendship. There is romance, but it's a subplot. It's about like girl friendships and the power of friendship. So I recommend it for that. And it has a picture of a Pomeranian on the back. So there's that one. I have 2 more physically in front of me, and then there's a few on my list that I don't actually have with me here, so I'll just go over those after I'm done with these. We have We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Biggest twist I've ever had in a book. Literally had me shook to my core. No, did not see it coming. If you read this book, I hope it doesn't get spoiled for you, because this book, the twist is what makes it 5 stars. And it's set in like Cape Cod, like summer, rich, like it makes me want to be rich. So, and last but not least that I have physically with me is the Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This one kind of gets mixed reviews if you're on like Book Talk or something like that, but for me it was 5 stars. Christina Lauren, she's a good author. I've read several of, well, it's actually 2 people, but whatever. Read some of her other books. They're always very spicy, so if that's something that you're wanting to stay away from, maybe this isn't for you. But for me, I loved it, and it was 5 stars for me. So those are all the ones I have physically with me. Now I have to look at my book and my list and see. Okay. The next book that I have. Okay, I have 2 more. The Hate You Give, which I read at the very beginning of this year. is just an amazing book. It's 5 stars. The story is very compelling. I was crying. You know that's a 5-star book for me. If you don't know anything about it, it's not the Black Lives Matter movement, like it's not set during that time, but it's reminiscent of what we went through in the past few years, and is a very compelling story of how Black people are portrayed and seen in the United States. So I highly recommend it. And last but not least, we have our good friend, People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I swear I had this book with me here at school, but I must have left it at home or given it to someone to borrow, because it's that good of a book. Like I recommend it to everyone. Anytime someone asks me to read for a book recommendation, I recommend Emily Henry. That could be Beach Read or People We Meet on Vacation, but those are both good. I didn't read Beach Read this year. I read Beach Read last year, or in 2020. But in 2021, I read People We Meet on Vacation. So yes, 5 stars from me. And those are my 5-star books for 2021. I'm very excited for what I'm going to be reading in 2022. I have a TBR list that's a mile long, books coming in the mail all the time, a goal of reading 72 books this year, and I have a list of books that are being released in 2022 that I'm very excited for. So maybe I will make that video of like new release books that I'm looking forward to reading this year. I don't know if that would be interesting at all, but that's an idea. So yeah, this is the last time I'm doing any sort of 2021 recap thing for books. So sorry if you've heard me talk about these books a lot, but those were the best books that I read this year. And if you're going to start reading, start with those. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. School is starting so soon for me. I'm going to be vlogging and trying to keep getting content out for you, even though school is starting. So I love y'all. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video.